It's like, I'm not getting it. Okay, maybe one of them will come. I will show you. Anyway, so this is our star. Today is Vanessa. Vanessa,
Yes,
I heard that you just had a meeting with the Queen.
Yes, I did.
How come you have a meeting with the Queen? You are coming from Africa, from Ghana, and there are people who their grandparents were born in England, and they have never been able to meet with the Queen. And here comes this Ghana girl, you know, God's daughter, who I'm just so sorry that your dad is not alive.
Oh, yes.
To be able to witness that, because I'm sure you have been able to do what your dad probably has not able to do.
Yes.
And I wanted to show your picture with the coin, but the girls showed me how to do it, but I can't get it. They are gone now. So yeah, but we are going to show you. I think one of them will come soon, and we are going to show you.
Yes,
but how do you show it? So tell us your story.
Yes. Anyway, what I would like to say good evening to everybody. Go downstairs now. Sorry about that. My children are just coming into the room. I'd like to say good evening to everybody, and I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to tell my story. Well, I'm just a young Ghanaian lady doing her own thing here in the UK, with African parents. And I also work within the Liverpool Commonwealth Association as the executive secretary. So based on my work, or based on the community work that I do within my community, we were invited to the reception by the Queen at the Buckingham Palace to recognize the contribution of diasporan people of the Commonwealth descent or Commonwealth countries to a reception, because this year marks about 60 years of the Commonwealth of Nations. So we were invited to the Buckingham Palace, and particularly, it's not just people of Commonwealth origin, but people born outside the UK.
Wow.
So, and we're only 3 of us that were invited from Liverpool, and I was one of them.
Only 3 of you?
Yes, and I was the only female.
Ooh.
that was invited. So that was how come, I was, invited to the program or to the reception. We were about 150 people.
From all over the UK?
Yes, from all over the UK. But there were supposed to have been 15 people. That was what I gathered after the meeting, after the reception. That were supposed to have been 15 from the Northwest. But they found only the 3 of us.
Oh.
So
now, how does that feel like? Because I remember in the 50s and in the 60s and in the 70s, when our leaders, even national leaders, so like Nkrumah and all those Azikwe,
yes,
Awolowo, when they go to England and they meet with the Queen,
yes,
it's always a big bragging right.
Yes.
So much that only the ones that have been with the king are the most powerful and important ones.
Yes, yes. I mean, in fact, it was. I even till now, I still have some kind of flash, memories, and not only excitement. That's the word. I use the word excitement because when I looked at the invitation, it says that. Let me look at it again.
Do you have it near you there?
Yes, I do. I have it near me here. Just one moment.
Just read it out for us, yeah.
Yes, please. Just one moment.
How many of the people around you, or either Ghanaians or Nigerians, do you know who have had the same privilege?
Yes, the three of us that were invited.
No, apart from you people, I'm saying before you went there.
Yes.
How many people have you met like that? Who are
None.
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 Wow.
None. So this is a copy of the invitation.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Show it again. Raise it higher. Okay. The master of the house has received Her Majesty's command. To invite Mrs. Vanessa Boateng to a reception to be given at Buckingham Palace by the Queen on Wednesday, 14th February. Oh, that's the day of love, right?
Yes.
Wow. That's a lot of things happening.
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Yes, and this, the 14th of February marks exactly 5 months to my 40th birthday. And it's also exactly because I was born on a Wednesday, 14th of June 1978. So it's like a landmark or historic event in my life, for me to see the Queen and all that. So that it was very, very, very significant. And this was the accompanied note.
Okay.
But I'll just read it. It says that in advance of the London Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in April, the reception is being held to recognize the contribution of those in the Commonwealth diaspora from across the UK who have made a notable contribution either to their own or to the wider community. So that was based on why I was invited to the Buckingham Palace, to the reception to see the Queen, because it's been heard of they've heard of the work that I do, within the Commonwealth, within my community at first, and then my work within the Commonwealth organization, or the Commonwealth Association. So that was why, the Queen had to command her household, the master of the household.
Right.
Yes, to invite me so that she can formally recognize me, and So that.
How do you think your dad would have felt?
Oh, he would have been so proud. He would have been extremely proud.
Because he worked so hard for it to give you the best. Tell everybody who don't know, who have not heard your story about your dad again. Okay.
My dad was a professor of education, but he majored mainly in sociology and educational research and development, and he helped in drafting the policy. In fact, the citizenship policy education in which Nigeria has now, in citizenship education, and then also drafted or brought out a policy for book policy in the education in Ghana. So basically, these are his achievements during his long life on earth. He was a very astute person, very, very enlightened, very educative. I mean, I don't know, words cannot describe the kind of man that I had as a father, and I am very, very sure that wherever he is now, he will be rejoicing to say that he must have done a good work, to impact that same level of
ambition, discipline.
Exactly. to his child or to his children.
Why? Did you also grow up thinking and dreaming of having the qualities of your dad, being like him in that sense?
Yes, I mean, everybody's dream is that when I grow up, I would like to be like my dad, or I'd like to be like my mother and things like that. Yes, I had that. I always had that at the back of my mind.
What are the qualities that you wanted to emulate in your dad?
Yeah, the qualities I wanted to emulate in him was his hard work and the way he has compassion for people, and also have compassion to change things around him. You know, that's compassion, that drive. My father will not see somebody and will not go to bed if everybody has not eaten, or cannot see someone suffer, you know, and not even give away his last penny and things like that. And that was, in fact, one of the weaknesses that he had, because he loved, I won't say it's a weakness, but it's a strength. Now that I see that it's a strength, not a weakness, that he would want to help everybody that comes his way, whether be you any. In fact, I mean, the man was just on his mission, you know, to show love to people. I remember he used to give us a story when he was, you know, traveling to Nigeria a few times, where he said he saw, you know, these people that sell puff puff on their head, that he saw a policeman stop somebody who was selling, you know, puff puff, and I was asking him for his papers and things like that. And he stopped his car. He said he stopped his car. He had a driver, then he stopped his car and then went to confront the policeman to ask him what was he doing with the man, you know, why was he harassing him and things like that. So he said the policeman saw him and was like, why are you defending this man? Because he had just come out of an FGN car. So he was asking him that, God, why are you defending? He said, I'm a Ghanaian. I am from the same country that he comes from. So he said the policeman was looking at him like, what is this man talking about? You know, these people, they are causing a nuisance. He said, no, that person is not causing a nuisance, provided he's not stealing. He's making his, you know, his daily living by selling what he has. You, as a policeman, you don't have a right to stop him and things like that. So people, things like that, those are the kind of testimonies that we heard of, or I got to hear when we laid him to rest. You know, people that he had, you know, that we didn't even imagine, or we didn't even know that he had helped, you know, in the past. So when they heard of his demise, you know, most of them came to the funeral, you know, that their one encounter with him was of help, you know, selling himself out to help people. So that was something that I really appreciated, you know, in his life, and I told myself that that's something that I would want to emulate in my life.
Yeah, that's similar. That's similar to what you are doing in the UK now.
Exactly.
Can you tell the people what you do in the UK now?
Yeah, what I do in the UK is to help African parents understand the welfare or child protection in the UK, because the representation of children, of African children being taken into care is on the rise. So what I do with them is to help African parents develop new skills, you know, apart from the corporal punishments that they are used to help, you know, other methods of discipline to help their children. And that's on that side, and also to help them to understand the laws regarding physical chastisement. Then on the other side, I help the practitioners to understand the cultural values of African parents, that sometimes when they go through their books, you know, because when you look at the textbook methods or procedures or policies on child protection, majority of the time Africans or migrants are not taken into cognizance. There is no provision in the policy. You know, they only put everybody in one pot. but there's no provision to say that, look, migrants have come in from where they are coming from, either they must have fled war situations, or maybe they must have come to migrate into the UK, or where they are, with exhibiting their skills. However, where they are coming from is different from what they already know here. So it takes some time for them to adjust. It's not that easy, but there should be a leeway, there should be a fine line of where you think that a child is significantly at risk of harm, or where a child is just being disciplined by his or her parents. So that's what I do.
But were you watching yesterday's program that I did live?
Yes,
broadcast?
I did.
Did you see the videos that I showed about the corporal punishment, the way it happens in Africa?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And don't you think that is a major problem we have? What I showed yesterday, it was quite gruesome. It's treacherous in the sense that they were actually traumatizing. What are as a specialist working with children, what are the lasting traumas or effects, psychological or physical, that children I think that is an abuse. What do you think about it?
Yes, in fact, it's an abuse. And I can tell you that in the 17th, 18th, and 19th century, those kind of behaviors were common here in the UK.
Okay.
However, with time, studies have come to show that those kind of things have put fear and damaged the children psychologically. So there's been a trend, or there's been a study to say that those children or people who have gone through those forms of abuse tend to have psychopathic behaviors. It affects them with their relationship with people. It also affects them physically. It affects them mentally, and it affects them health-wise, in terms of their health. So that is why here they have looked at over time the effects of some of these things, and they have put in place measures to prevent some of these things. And I'll tell you one of them that it was very, very controversial was the removal of corporal punishment in schools.
When did that happen in the UK?
This happened in the late 80s and early 90s.
Okay.
Where corporal punishment was removed from schools, because they realized that children who were being punished or receiving corporal punishment from schools were having psychological effects on their behavior, and the way they relate with people, and then how they become timid. They don't want to speak. Some of them are traumatized and things like that. So studies over time has evolved. That's the word I should use. Has evolved, and they've seen that some of these things are not healthy for children or the development of people. In fact, that's the word, development of people. However, there are two sides to the coin, because
yeah, you are very right, because when I'm in Ukraine here, among the white people, I don't even talk about this subject of abuse or corporal punishment, because they don't have it so much. You know what I talk about? I wrote books about spoiled brats. That is what I'm writing about here, what I'm teaching. It's rather the opposite. So I don't even touch the topic of corporal punishment here, but I'm always talking about the spoiled children, spoiled brats and things like that, because it's the opposite.
Yes.
But when I now see the Nigerian side, I see that no, it's the opposite. It is the corporal punishment that we need to address.
Yes. And you see, because you the videos that you showed yesterday, you could see the
two extremes, yeah.
You could see the force in which people use to exhibit this punishment on the children is always out of anger. You see a teacher or a principal, whipping or whacking people, out of anger and frustration and things like that. So those are some of the things. These are some of the reasons why they removed corporal punishment from the schools, because sometimes.
No, okay, can you examine we Africans, us Africans? Most of us went through that. And I don't know your own experience, but do you know that there are people in African families now, my age, maybe even younger than me. I even had somebody calling who was 30-something, and he said, I cannot even hug my wife. I cannot be nice to her. Yes. To make love and have children. That is like instinctive, animalistic urges. Those ones are still there. Yes. But they want to just be nice to her and to just hold her hands and to just cuddle her and to just touch her. Even when she's touching him, he say, why are you, what's wrong? Come on. So, that is a damaged personality. And the same treatment with the children. Do you know that there are people of my age now who are saying their parents never hugged them? Can you believe that?
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. And that is a problem that we have. And that's something that I try in some of my interventions when parents are referred to me. I try to deal with parents on, because we're used to hardness.
Okay.
And that is how we are used to. It's an environmental thing. Yes, it's an environmental thing.
We are used to hardness.
Exactly. We are used to hardness. I was even when you had the program yesterday, I and my husband were discussing, and he was also telling the same thing, that look, that is what it is. People have just been hardened. It's so unfortunate, because it's something that now we need to start. We have to learn, especially those of us that are outside in an environment where love or hugging and is normal. Where we are coming from, we are too hard on each other, especially when it comes to children. We see children, the African context, see children as possessions, not human beings.
Properties, you mean?
Yes.
Huh.
Because if you look at it, in the olden days, people had children to help them in the farm.
It's like capital.
Exactly. You see, the same thing too here in the UK. It was like that in the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century. It's just of recent that we started having people having less than 4 children or less than 3 children. In the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th century, even up to recent of the 20th century, you had families that had up to about 5 or 6 children, because the children were an economic support, to the family. But as things started developing, when we got into the Industrial Revolution and things like that, there was no need for children to work. But in Africa, we still have that.
No, but Vanessa, that doesn't justify to me cruelty towards those same children.
Yes, it doesn't justify, but I'm just trying to give, I'm trying to give a comparison here, because back in Africa, there's so much competition. Everybody wants, his or her own to be the best. We want everything to be at our disposal and things like that. But forgetting that we need to have, I don't know how to put it, but it's like there is no atmosphere of love.
I think that's the basic thing, right?
Yes, exactly. I don't know whether it's our makeup or it's an environmental thing and things like that. I'm yet to research,
Do we bring that harshness to our children in the UK, since you are working with the children in the UK?
Oh yes. In fact, it's like it's not where that's our normal way of life.
Even in the UK.
Yes.
Among the black people.
Yes. I can tell you that it is something that people just is normal, because that is what they are used to. You know, that is what they are used to.
What are some, yes, can you tell us some instances, some cases, some examples that you might have encountered of how black parents, because there are a lot of black parents that are watching right now, and many of them are from the UK too. What are some of those wrong things that black parents do in relations to their family, to their children, that are not advisable in the environment they are in?
Beating.
So Africans are beating.
Yes.
But I too beat, but I just beat like a symbol, not harsh at all. They don't even need to cry. But what do you mean by beating?
Beating, I mean beating. Beating in the sense that when excessive force is being used.
Against the child.
Against the child. Sometimes it could be hitting, you know, using belts, using phone chargers, using slippers. Yes, using slippers, you know. Then the second one is the emotional one, the verbal abuse.
Okay.
You know, insulting the children. Your empty head like coconut. You know, stupid boy, stupid girl. You know that those kind of verbal abuse and insults. That's also very common. Then lack of empathy, because we are always looking to we are always looking that our children should do better than us, which is in a good way, which is okay. But sometimes we put excessive pressure on the children, especially when they are not doing well in school. And then ignorance. Sometimes we fail to understand the development of our children, the developmental stages of children. Sometimes some children may have learning disabilities which we need to spot. But because some of us are over spiritual, we always attribute everything to spiritualism. Then we suffer the children by, you know, blaming everything on spiritualism. Meanwhile, there is help out there that people can access. So it's just the environment that we grew up in that has made us as parents, those of us that are parents now, that has made up our makeup. And coming into a country where you think that things is not that is you feel or you know or you think that the way they treat children is spoiling children, you don't want to adopt to it, or you don't want to adapt to it. It's a problem. Then we also have frustrations of where qualified parents are not in the careers that they are supposed to be in. It can be very, very frustrating where you have somebody that has a PhD or master's that is doing cleaning or is doing care assistant work. You know, that frustration is there. The everyday frustration is there. And then thirdly, immigration issue.
So you mean these frustrations, the professional frustrations, or the lack of fulfillment of the parents, immigration, all those things, the parents later on unleash it on the children, or what?
Yes. Yes, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's what happens. Unfortunately, that's what happens. So you have parents that, you know, they are facing one issue or the other. They cannot contain it themselves, you know. And majority of them don't want to seek help. So at the end of the day, when the child, you know, maybe spills milk or maybe breaks a plate or something like that, then the natural reaction is shouting. And then all of a sudden, before you realize he's shouting, and then has already picked his slippers or her slippers, and then I just whine on the child or use her hand on the child, and, you know, hit the child and things like that.
Yeah, one of the things that we here in this country, I think in the UK too, that they said is very damaging is that you don't use your hand to beat children. Why is that damaging? That you just slap them, beat them in the back or the buttocks or things like that?
The hand is much better than an implement, because sometimes it depends on how hard, you know, your hand hits that child.
Here, what they are saying is that a child should be used to hand. Hand should be a conveyor of kindness.
Yes. Okay.
Love.
Okay.
Rather than harshness.
Okay.
That if you are using that same hand to slap them, to beat them, it will be difficult for them to receive love from that same hand. So hand, touch, they will react to touch.
Wow.
Yes, that is a study that was done.
Oh, then that's interesting.
That's a research, yes. That when you use hand to be slapping people, when I now want to touch you with that hand, it has psychological effect on you on the subconscious level, because that hand is like you're almost eating that hand.
Wow.
But then the problem is that even other people, when they want to touch you too, you don't respond normally to hand touch.
Wow.
Because hand has been inflicting pain and suffering on you. So that is one of the reasons why a lot of grown up, all of us, we don't know why we don't like people to touch us.
Okay.
But the reason why we don't like people to touch us is that a lot of us have endured this kind of torture and this kind of abuse from our parents when they use hand to slap you in the backside.
Wow.
Or you know, or in the face. And then any touch, that same hand, that same mother or father wants to use it to hug you. And then it's just irritating. So now you don't even know. This must have happened when you are 3 years old or 4 years old or 5 years old. But you grow up not being comfortable with people even hugging you. Wow. Or people touching you at all. That's a study that was done.
That's very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And I think I agree with that. That's very, very interesting.
But that's why it says that in the Bible, it says, spare not the rod. Even if you want to build a child, but you don't, you know, without the cruelty of God that we saw yesterday, and the anger and the wickedness, but you know, you use something that is more disciplinarian, but that is better. Of course, not with the harshness, but that is better than, you know, using your hand, because you are a mother, you are a father. Your hand should be reserved for kindness and care.
Okay. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, the Bible says, spare not the rod, not spare not the hand.
Okay. All right. But you know, that interpretation, myself, I also feel that spare not the rod, it means that we shouldn't spare discipline.
Yeah, you are right. It doesn't have to be an object.
Yes, it doesn't have to be an object, but you should be able to not spare discipline, because you know, when you spare discipline, you are becoming permissive in your parenting, or you are becoming neglective in your parenting. So that I think that should be, because apart from even hitting, you know, the psychological effects on hitting, you know, it's damaging.
Okay, tell us some of the damages.
One, I mean,
how does this thing affect children?
It makes them timid. In fact, makes them fearful. It makes them, you know, have hallucinations.
Ooh.
Yes, because if a child, you know, has been used to hitting, it starts to hallucinate, because maybe if you raise your hand like this, or you raise an implement on them, they start to reflect. It starts, you know, bringing up, it sparks something up in the brain.
I know. Yes. It in my own case, when they were beating me, when my brothers were beating me so mercilessly like that, when I used to go near, when they move or they are angry, it used to bring panic attack and also nervous breakdown.
Exactly.
So there are some other. And another thing it did to me is that I couldn't concentrate to study.
Exactly. So you see, it has an effect on your neurons in your brain.
Because so I only started making it. Can you imagine all the years I was being beaten till 10 years old? I was being beaten mercilessly until that my brother that used to beat me traveled. Only after he traveled, they wanted me to study. They were always beating, and they were thinking that I was dull. But it is when they are beating me like that I become so messed up. I become so panic attack. I cannot even concentrate. So, 2 years after the guy traveled, I began to learn to read. And I couldn't read. I couldn't read and I couldn't write when they were beating me like that. So, because it was, I couldn't concentrate. I was always shaking. And my mind couldn't settle. But after he traveled and nobody was beating me for some time, some kind of peace reigned. And that peace affected my neurons and my nervous system. I then began to, for some reason, I clicked. I began to see how to read and write.
Thank God that BSA, you are the one that is saying it, because you are saying it out of a personal experience. Because when you say these kind of things to parents, they do not understand it until they come out and say it personally. You know, sometimes when I have these interactions with them, I ask them, I say, why don't you think back and look at yourself back as your child? What were the things that you didn't like? How did this affect you? How did beating, how did all these things affect you psychologically? You think back and sit down and think. Sometimes when they sit down and think and they go back and I say, this thing used to happen to, I said, the same way you are feeling, that's the same way that child was feeling, or that child is feeling. When you raise that implement on that child, or when you try, to bring that form of that disciplinary form or that punishment form, into that child. So that is how the way you feel when you were a child, that's the same way that child feels. But some of them will tell me that, but anyway, that is what made me to be who I am today. I say, yes, that's what made you to who you are today. But are you happy with yourself? If you genuinely look into inward and tell yourself, are you really, really, really happy with yourself, the way your makeup and things? So sometimes it calls for sober reflection. And like you said, studies have come to show that some of these things do not help, the development of human beings. That is why their studies and researchers are trying as much as, and advocates are trying as much as possible to eliminate, this kind of practice. But it will take a long time. However, these are some of the things that parents or grown-ups or those of us from Africa have to learn, that we need to start changing, because it's not helping our children, it's not helping the future.
But you are also saying it right now that some parents say that it is this kind of discipline that made them to be successful, because on the other hand, in Europe, there are a lot of children that become spoiled brats, or that are not responsible, they are not serious because they were never disciplined. So how will you strike the balance?
Yeah, what you see, like when you say children, we have children who are spoiled and things. It is the kind of parenting that they have, or the kind of parenting skills or the type of parenting styles that their parents used on them that have made them the way they are. Because if you look at it, we've got 4 types of parenting styles. We've got the authoritarian style, authoritative, we've got the permissive, and we've got the neglect. So if you look at the statistic of children that we, in quotes, put as spoiled, majority of the time is neglect and permissive parenting styles that their parents have used.
That is true.
So that's why you see that a lot of, because you cannot expect that your child wakes up in the morning and tells you that I want a bag of sweets to eat, and you give that child. You are killing that child slowly. You as the parent, you have authority over that child. So you should know what is good and bad for that child. However, there are other forms of ways of disciplining children that they can turn out to be better human beings apart from eating. There are other styles which have been tested all over and all over again.
So those other styles will fit in, because some people are writing now in the comment that what about what the Bible says, spare not the rod.
Yes, like I told you, as I said before, the spare not the rod is the kind of discipline. It's not the physical. If you withhold discipline, definitely a child will get spoiled. If you
so rod stands for discipline rather than for hitting.
Exactly. That is what I keep driving at. That rod that the Bible says is not a physical rod. The rod is discipline, law and order, as you put it right. Every home should have a particular law and order. Just as a country or a government, we all have law and order that people obey. And if you don't obey these rules, you pay a consequence. That is what we should be using as our yardstick, as discipline, instead of flogging or instead of using implement.
All right, but okay, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I also want to say, like, they say when you go to countries like Singapore, if you chew chewing gum, they flog you, they give you 12 strokes of the cane to put fear in people. Yes, that is positive fear. You could say that, okay, fine. But
it is still fear of discipline. It is still about the discipline, not about the beating.
Not about exactly, not about the beating, but about the discipline behind it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of technique that as parents we should try and develop.
Okay, what are other techniques apart from flogging? Because in Africa, most Christians, most parents, even most Christian parents, the only method of discipline they know is flogging. So what are the other discipline measures that could be used apart from abuse and flogging and verbal abuse?
Okay. One of the things that I've seen that works very effectively is withdrawal of privileges.
Okay.
Withdrawal of privileges. So if you know that your child likes something very much,
computers, games.
Exactly. So if they like something so much, like computer games, for instance, okay, if he or she has become naughty and things like that, you can withdraw those privileges and explain to that child that, look, because you have done this, so we are withdrawing this from you. I think God has put common sense in children for them to understand some of these things. Some of them will even agree with you that, okay, yes, I've been naughty today. I have my children, and sometimes when they do something and I withdraw privileges from them, they'll tell me, oh, mommy, it's not fair. And then I tell them, yes, it is fair because this is what you did and you are not having this. And I make sure that I follow through with it, because sometimes when we don't follow through with what we say, that's where you now give in space, for the children to take advantage of you, because they look at you and say, okay, that is not even true to his word. If I can do it, he will give me a lax or something like that. But when you are true with it, that because you didn't make up your room, okay, no going out for you for 1 week or something like that. So if you do it consistently, the children will respect that, because that's what they do with them in schools.
Now, another thing I want to raise up with you, another topic I want to raise up is that African children, African parents, not really, this is not in UK, maybe in the UK it happens too. But I've discovered that in America, when some parents are disciplined, in their own words, Christians, pastors even, who try to discipline their children, so either their children have been taken from them, even though they are pastors, or some of them have been jailed and imprisoned.
Yes.
That is like a catastrophe. How can the pastor be in prison because he, I mean, that is like, or the children of a pastor being taken. Do you, those things, can they happen in the UK?
They do. It happens. It happens a lot.
Tell us about that.
Most of the time, like I said, it's always miscommunication, or would I say that ignorance on both parties, on both sides. Because Africans, we are used to our children, like I said, our children are our possessions. We don't look at them as human beings. So everything, we want to make sure that our children are, under us. We must make sure that it all depends on the kind of method that we use in parenting. If we are too authoritative, we can lose the children. When there is no democracy, when children's opinions are not in a way heard, or are not taken into consideration and things like that, those children will rebel. I keep saying to parents here is that the teachers have a kind of technique that they use on the children. It is very interesting when you go to schools and you see the way the children respect their teachers even more than their parents, because the teachers have this kind of technique such that they negotiate, or they have a bargaining power with the children, and they get the children to do what they want them to do. So
have you heard of instances in the UK where African parents as children have been taken, or Christians?
Yes.
Can you tell me some instances like that?
Okay. Instances where children have gone to school and have, openly said that my mommy uses implements to beat me when I'm being naughty. Or instances where you have children, because we have what we call the NSPCC that come to schools to educate children on if they are fearful, or if they feel that they are fearful, or maybe somebody shouts at them, or maybe somebody is threatening them and things like that. So when children are being schooled like this, or are being told these kind of things in school, when they go to school and they feel that their parents is doing something like that to them, then they go and tell the safeguarding officer.
So guiding officer?
Safeguarding. We've got what we call safeguarding officers.
Okay.
So they are the ones that protect children. So you have the safeguarding officer, here's something like this. The next step he or she does is they will call the social services. I've had a case like that where a girl, reported or said, was just discussing among her friends that this is what happened, that her dad used a wooden spoon to threaten her, because she refused. When I got to hear about the story and things like that, it all boiled down to a frustration that the father was going through, a phase that the father was going through. So she went to school and reported that the father used a wooden spoon to threaten them that he was going to use it to hit her or something like that. So she went to school, reported it, went to tell the safeguarding officer, and then kept her for some time because the dad came to pick her from school. So they after they got back home, police was waiting for them in the house.
Wow.
About 4 or 5 police officers with social services. So the man was taken aback and was like, what's happening here? And then he said, this is what your daughter said, that you threatened to use a wooden spoon or things like that. So he said, no, that this is something that I'm an African. This is what I did. I was only trying to, scare her so that next time she doesn't do it and things like that. That was when we now got the referral. I got the referral from the police, and then I now had to intervene, to tell, to find a way or fine line of what the problem was. So these are some of the issues that we get. People like me are the ones that come in to let parents know that, look, you can effectively discipline children without using implements, because the children are open. They say things and the teachers believe them, because they believe that if the children don't say it, you understand, it's not happening. But if they are saying it, it's happening. So you need to be careful what you say, or you need to be careful what you do.
You said people like you are the people they refer to. Who are you in that sense?
Yeah, what I'm saying, I like my service, for instance, that I work with African.
What is your service called?
My service is, okay, what I'll say is my service is a referral unit for African parents, a referral unit for African parents or for migrant parents.
Unit where? Is it social services? Is it child care services? Is it child protective? What is it?
Child protective service.
Oh, okay. That's where you work.
No, that's my charity.
Okay.
I run a charity. These are some of the things, like there's nothing like that, in the system.
Nothing
in
like
social services.
Child protective service?
Yes. The child protective service is under the social services. However, I'm like a referral unit.
So you are not working for them? You are independent?
No, I'm independent, yes.
So they refer to you as like a specialist?
Yes. Because they don't have people like me that are skilled, because I work within the community.
Okay, so you are defending the interest of parents?
Yes.
And children too? And
children too, yes.
In the UK?
Because when this case is coming, I have a 12-week session with the family, with the parents and child, and then with the social service as well. So at the end of the 12-week, I put a report in based on my interaction with them, and what I think, or what the recommendations that I feel, should take place. If I feel that those children are at risk, then the next plan. If I feel that the children are not at risk, but the family needs support, the next plan. Things like that.
But how do you get paid? How do you survive? If it is just charity, social organization, are the parents going to pay you, or the government is going to pay you?
Yeah, what we do is we put a fee. We charge a fee to the social services, to the local authority.
Okay.
Yes, because sometimes it's not just me. I also have to employ people.
But that is very good, because it's not just the parents that need to pay all those bills, but the government.
Yes.
Oh, that's very, very considerate of the government to have done that.
Well, it's something new. Although we have cuts, the UK is cutting on so many things, on their social welfare and things like that. However, we approach charitable organizations to sponsor some of this work that we do. So like the events that I usually have, like the parental seminars and events and things like that, we have Big Lottery that supports us in that area. So, but the referrals and things like that, when we get the referrals from the police and we get the referrals from social services, we have to put in, because it's not a small work. It's quite a massive It's a massive job because we have to go 12 weeks. We have to do 12 weeks of engagement between parents and children, because we have to always go to their houses.
Amazing. Because, so, what do you think is more dangerous? Is it this too much discipline, like corporal punishment, like in Africa, or the opposite, which is the lack of discipline, like the Europeans?
Lack of discipline
is more dangerous.
Lack of discipline, one, and then secondly, the way we do it in Africa too, because if you lack discipline,
too much discipline.
Yes, too much. I won't say too much. Is the harshness? It's not the discipline. The discipline is good, okay. The law and order is good, but is the physical damage that is the problem.
So, okay, did you see those ones I showed yesterday? How they were beating in the school those children?
Oh yes, I've witnessed some myself. I mean, with secondary school, they line up people. Even I can tell you, I was a culprit of some of it in primary school and secondary school. And I tell you what my father did with the schools, because it was not right. You know, I still have a mark of cane, of something of cane that was meted out to me when I was in primary school by a teacher. I still have it on my back, and my father made sure that school was closed down, because that is not the way to discipline children. He said you don't use the implements. What using an implement, Dr. Sunday. It has it's. I don't. There are no words to describe it. It gives you an internal injury. Not only physically, but mentally, So I remember when, we're flogged in school and things like that. Anytime I see a teacher come, my heart beats. My heart's, it took me a very long time, for me to mellow down on that. Because anytime I see a teacher or I see a headmaster, I'll be frightened. It took me a very, very long time. And I know a lot of people like that. Like you said, it goes along even to with relationship and things like that. Having, good relationship with people. You still see people, and at the slight provocation, then they start to flare up because of some of these things. It's corporal punishment. Honest to God, it's a mental injury. However, although it's used to is a method of using to prevent bad behavior, but still, the way and manner it is being used is what is my concern. Because it is the lack of, I don't know how to explain. I don't know how to explain it, but I will always say that, meting out a corporal punishment as a tool of discipline, to me, I feel that is not worth it. However, if parents want their children not to be spoiled, best thing is to be effective in your parenting, not be neglective or permissive or authoritative. Rather, use the authoritarian kind of parenting, which brings a fine line between, negotiating and, consequence as punishment, withdrawal of privileges, getting to understand the children, speaking more, on negotiation, compromise. A lot of African parents don't understand what compromise is, and that is why you have a lot of the children being taken away, because they go to school and they say things, And the teachers believe the children more than you, the parent, because there's something that they say that children don't like. You know, but it's also because of the cases that we've had in the past and what social services, the neglect that social services have in the past have not looked into properly. You know, like the case of Victoria Klimbe, an Ivorian girl that was killed, you know, by torture. You know, it's when you hear some of these gruesome stories, you don't understand it, just because one pastor also said that they told the parents that she was the one that was preventing them from getting their welfare benefits. Meanwhile, it was wrong. When you go through the investigation, the people didn't qualify, you know, for the welfare, you know, things like that. You have cases where, you know, the children are being accused of witchcraft just because they've got dyslexia, or maybe say, at the age, they are still bedwetting at certain ages. You know, it's some horrid stories. So that's why social services, they are always on alert when it comes to African children. You know, they're always on alert when it comes to African children. And some of the times too, we are also authors of our problems, because when social services come in like that, we do not like to cooperate with them. We always want to be defensive. So when we are being defensive, then the social services pick on it to say that there's an element of truth of what the children are saying. You know, I dealt with a case where a father, you know, was accused of physically harming his children and things. For the school to just believe, the thing was they just studied his attitude. When he comes to school, when he comes to pick up the children, they realize that one of the things the headmistress mentioned at the panel meeting is that they realize that anytime the man comes to pick the children up, the children are always scared to go home, or he doesn't hug the children. You know, the children are not happy to see him, and he's always on the phone. You see, so they look at all these things and observe. And when they observe, they put them down. They are writing them down.
So is that, you say, because it doesn't hug the children, that yes, also suggests a normality right there.
Exactly. And you know, here in the UK, everybody used to hug. We hug each other and we smile. You know, you have to smile. When your children see you in school, they must run and hug you. You know, and when you are going, you are taking them to their class. You know, their class, you have to give them a kiss or give them a hug before they go into the class. And all the teachers observe all these things.
But Africans don't do those things.
No, majority of us don't do it.
So, and then they see that is already a confirmation that there is an abuse there.
Or there's a possibility that when the child is saying things like that, because they are observing.
Because you don't hug them, you don't kiss them.
Or sometimes you when you drop them at school, you don't even take them right to the door. You just drop them at the gate and then they walk to school. All these things they observe, they are very observant. So, but we think that they are nothing.
But to a European, that is already danger zone.
Exactly. So I try when I get to educate parents that, look, these are some of the signs that your teachers or social services are looking out for. Please, as much as possible, be patient and do these things so that you can, because these are preventive measures. My service is a preventive and interventive service.
So if that man that takes his children to school and he is always on phone, it means he doesn't pay attention to those children.
It doesn't exactly. That is what the headmistress was trying to drive at the time. That is not paying attention to the children. To the extent that I don't know whether it was a lie or truth or something like that. She said the children came to school with shoes with holes in their shoes.
And the parents were supposed to have noticed that and buy on other shoes.
Exactly. So it means that they are not being welcomed and things like that. And you see, the issue here, like I said, is that because a lot of parents are trying to make ends meet, you know,
they are struggling.
Exactly, they are struggling. So sometimes you see somebody, you go to work at night, by his home by, you know, by 8 o'clock or 8:45 to take the children to school, or the mother too is also coming back from work. You know, she leaves the children with the man. They just, you know all this. So there is no really how will I put it, attention towards the children. Don't look at the uniform. You know, all these things they observe. The schools observe. So when the children come and start saying things like this, you know, like my mommy beats me or my daddy beats me, they have already observed the children from the way they appear.
So it means that people who are listening to me, to us now, they must go and listen to my series on how to be the best friend to your children. I have a whole series on the internet, I mean on YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official, on training, on raising of children, parenting, and things like that. Many people don't, and you know, it's the least watched. People don't even go there. They don't even touch it. So what? Yes. I
personally say that is the most important set of series that people need to watch if you are a parent, or if you want to become a parent. Because like I told you, sir, the last time that we had our discussion, I told you that I was looking for videos on parenting, and that was hard.
You can say that again, because people might not, they don't know what you are. They were not here last time.
Okay, I was looking for videos or messages. So yeah, I was looking for videos on parenting and parenting skills, and I came across your parenting series. And I got very interested because I had never seen, you know, an African, you know, do any, or even a black. Let me use. I don't like to use the color of our skin, you know, to describe us. But I've not seen any African or Afro-Caribbean do videos on parenting. So when I came across yours, I was like, oh my goodness, this is good. And number two, you are a Nigerian and a Yoruba man for that matter. You understand? So it's
how can a Yoruba man understand all these psychological things, eh?
Exactly, and to chronicle a pastor. And the things you were saying were very relevant. Because you see, initially when I started this parenting, effective parenting, my target was to help young parents, you know, people that have just married, or who are about to get married. Because when you go for marriage counseling, they don't tell you anything about parenting. They only tell you about marriage between yourself and the man and woman. They don't tell you that you have children, how you have to go about them, how you even treat them, how the developmental stages and things. So that was what I had in mind. But as time went on and I started observing with the local church that was attending, and the way people were treating their children, and the way social services were taking children away. I said, no, I need to study this thing properly. So I now found your video on your parenting series, and I was listening to them one after the other. And I understand. I said, this is top notch. So I keep sharing your videos for people who are struggling. So when I have people who are being referred to me, I tell them that, look, please go to Dr. Sunday's official page on YouTube and look for the parenting and listen. Some of them have come back to me to say, Vanessa, you have really, really helped us, because their minds are being opened.
So you, being in the UK for so many years, I've never met an African or a Caribbean, a black person teaching on the principles of successful parenting.
No. The closest that I had got to a black person talking about parenting was a professor in the US called Dr. Alvin. Dr. Alvin. He started the series in the 70s, which is called Effective Parenting. So I got in touch with him. I saw his write-ups, saw his videos. how he conducts his seminars and things like that.
There were 3 surprises you mentioned. You said, I'm surprised that this is a black man. I'm surprised that it's a Nigerian. I'm surprised that it's a Yoruba man. Then number 4, I'm surprised it's a pastor. So
yes.
why you need to help everybody listening now. Because why is it that this is an unlikely topic for a pastor? And because, by the way, this book, for some reasons, is very popular, but the white people are the ones buying it. This, where is it? Let me see. Sorry.
Is it your new book?
My book on this book here.
Yes, I've started reading it.
How to create core values in a child.
Yes.
I wrote it in Russian, but I translated it to English. But what I discovered is that the only white people, Americans are buying it, white people are buying it. And why is it that our black people, our Africans don't see the need in buying this book?
The reason is, it's just simple. We are just used to what we know. We don't want to learn.
We think we already know.
Exactly. Which is a shame. You know, when they say that if you want to hide something from a black man, put it in a book, that is what we are having.
So Africans mainly don't even know that there is a need to form or create core values in a child. Maybe they've never even heard of the concept.
Pastor Sunday, let me even give you my own struggles that I face, even with people around me. When I started my program on effective parenting, I had backlash of people telling me that, oh, so Vanessa, what is Vanessa coming to teach us? She's coming to teach us how to become parents, or how to discipline our children and things.
Because they think that is natural. You don't need to be taught.
Exactly. However, it took the council and the police to appreciate my work. That people now saw the importance of what I'm doing. Because some of my critics are some of the people that are being referred to me.
Wow, my God. That is a vindication right there.
Exactly. So
let's go back to my topics. Though the teachings I have already done, most people don't even know I have teachings like that. Some people are writing me about husband and wife relationship. They don't even know I've dealt with husband and wife relationship in a way that I don't know if any other person has so much resources on husband and wife relationship, that I have too much material there. In fact, it's the biggest of my series. It's over 100 and something series there, if we put everything together.
Yes.
So let's talk about, what will you, so what are the ones you have, what are some of the topics you have listened to in this area, and how will you recommend to our people who are watching us?
You know, you have a series on the core values.
Yes.
Of, you know, putting creating core values in your children.
Yes.
In fact, that is the most important. In fact, that was the one that's what is helping me. Because like I said, I'm learning, I'm not perfect. It's helping me with my children. How to put core values in them, how to, you know, appraise them, how to use positive words, you know, to the children, and how to help them. That is very, very, very important. In fact, that is something that, if I don't know, words cannot describe. But I will only employ people to go and watch the parenting series. If you want to become effective in your parenting, that's number one. Number two, if you are not married and you will become a parent very soon, you need to listen to those series. And then those people, number three, those that are struggling in their parenting, please go and listen to Dr. Sunday's series on parenting. It will help you. And if possible, try and get the book. Because I read just the introduction of that book. I read it only yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, Dr. Sunday has just made me to stop my own book now. I have to read his own. And then take some few points out of it and put it inside my own as well. You know, because that book is powerful. Just reading the introduction alone is powerful.
Wow.
It's powerful. And I'm very, very happy that you are talking about love, because everything in life boils down to love. You know, if I did not have love for people, I don't think that I would have been recognized by Her Majesty. Because that's one of the things that is another area that I'm looking at as well, to tackle homelessness here in Liverpool. Apart from helping my African parents, but in general, because when the Bible says that you are the light of the world and you are the salt of the earth, this is what it means.
I know you have already read some of my other books too, apart from this one on how to create core values in a child. What are the other books of mine that you have read?
I've read Who Am I?
So how can that kind of a book help parents or families or even immigrants in the UK or all over the world? That Who Am I book.
There are questions that you need to ask yourself and ask God. Who am I? When you are able to ask God and ask yourself and ask God.
You are talking about this particular book?
Yes.
Who am I?
Yes.
Okay,
if you are able to read and understand. I haven't finished it.
Okay.
But I still have, sometimes I go back and read. That's why I've not finished it, because I'm still going through that journey to discover who am I.
So how can it help our immigrants, African immigrants?
It will help in discovering who you really are and why you are on the earth, and why the Bible says that wherever your feet steps upon, so shall you take dominion of. This book will help you to discover why you are on earth. You are not a biomass. You are here to do something. You are here to do something, even if it's the little minute. You don't have to have an NGO or something like that. The little smile, the little water, or the little help that you render, if you give to somebody, but you need to discover it.
Okay. And do you have any other book, or did you read any other book apart from these two?
How to Focus. That is the key book.
You are still coming to do this thing for me, because you didn't get to do it the last time.
Yes. This book is the bomb. This one, How to Keep Your Focus, because you can discover who you are.
This book I'm recommending it to Sorry, I have somebody here that I'm pulling her leg. So,
yes.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm saying that if you discover who you are and you are not focused, you are derailed.
That's true.
So this How to Keep Your Focus is a guideline of how, after discovering who you are, then how to keep your focus on what your assignment is in this world.
We have to ask Mrs. Disu to do another cover for it. But beautiful, powerful book.
Then the third one.
Yes.
How Africans Brought Civilization.
Oh, how did you get to that one? That will not be your problem now. You are just a woman that is kind of. How can you be dealing with ideological books like that?
That is this one is an encouragement to every immigrant living outside the continent of Africa.
Yeah, especially those living outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
This book is a self-esteeming, grooming book. I have shared this thing to all the people that I know, and I've told them, I said, look, if you want to remove inferiority complex from your life, or you want to achieve, please read this book.
That's what they are telling me. People who have read it, that's what they are saying, that
yes.
After reading this book, that they are ready to change. They said, I'm ready to change. I'm ready to take on anything. I'm ready to change the world. In fact, I want to go and just approach anything.
Yes.
Is that the way it feels?
That is how I feel. Because that's why I said that this is something that the next step I'm doing this year is tackling homelessness. I'm sent to the UK, to Liverpool, for specific, to just make a mark, and this is one of the mark.
You know, this one also, I wrote it because of what I encountered there as a black man in Russia.
Yes.
I actually wrote it in Russian language, then translated it.
Yes.
But I thought just that the white people are the ones who needed to be educated, and our black people here, but I didn't know that even in the West, they don't have, the black people themselves might not even know who they are and what they have done.
Yes, this is the catalyst. After you've read Who Am I, that's number 1. Number 2, How to Focus. Number 3, this one. The next one, I think I'll go into the financial books and things, but the most important thing, these are the foundations.
Yes.
Because if you are not screwed in your mind as a human being on your identity, you will not be able to carry out your assignment that God has given to you. That's the way I see life, or that's the way I see life as an immigrant outside my continent.
Okay, what are the other books then?
These are the 3 so far that I have.
Why did you talk about financial books?
Yeah, the financial, like time management, and where there is money, where there is problem, there is money. That's the next one I'm targeting.
Do you have it already, or you are planning to?
I have it on Kindle.
You have it on Kindle.
Yes.
Are you on Kindle Unlimited?
Yes, I am.
But you can, people don't know that they can actually read all my books
for free
on Kindle Unlimited, on Kindle. So,
yes.
and also they can buy the paperback also on Amazon. But some people are complaining that on Amazon it's too expensive, and we have made provision. We don't sell books here. We don't print them ourselves, but because it's expensive, so we have decided to be printing for people who cannot afford it. So we do subsidy for it, and so that's why anybody that will write to my office, dssbooks@gmail.com, we make it cheaper for them. And then people want to be distributors. For distributors, it's even cheaper, so that they could make 40% or 50% on every book. So, and because we specially print for people who want to make money from the books, who don't have so much money, or who want to buy it cheaper. So for those people, just write to DSS Books, DSS Books, one word, DSSbooks@gmail.com, DSSbooks@gmail.com. And the financial books that Vanessa is talking about, she mentioned this one.
Yes. Where there is money, there is problem. That's the next one I'm going to read.
Where there is money, where there is problem, there
is money.
Where there is problem, there is money. Yes, absolutely gorgeous book. You can't believe it. Then this one also, Poverty Mindset versus Abundance Mindset, is another one that will be a blessing to people in the financial series. This is the most popular one I have. It's called Money Won't Make You Rich. Yes, it's been out for some time now. People know it. Then I have this other one that is called How to Build a Secured Financial Future. This is actually very, very practical for people who might be dealing with finances. But another thing I think will help your people, the immigrants in Europe, is this one: what to do with your time.
Your time.
What to do with your time will really help out our African people there. Or this one, how to become great through time conversion. And also this one, create your own net worth. Create your own net worth. And for them to be able to relate wealth with their children, this one, the law of difference, to be able to see the uniqueness and the difference in children and be able to treat them with honor. This is on how to honor homeless people and children, women, anybody. And it's called The Law of Difference. I think it's one of our best books, actually. So, what would you like to say before we go? Is there still anything you would like to say before I let you go?
What I would like to say is I would like everybody who is on the platform to please, listen to this love series, because I think that is also the basis of, effective parenting and effective relationship with people and your children. It's very, very important. I also say that corporal punishment is not the way to discipline children. It does not help. It rather scars them psychologically, and if we can try as much as possible to use other methods of discipline apart from physical chastisement, we will make the world a better place, honest to God. Although, yes, corporal punishment could be a deterrent. However, the effects of it is what is causing a lot of damaged people in the world today.
Many people have also seen your photograph with the coin, with Her Majesty.
Yes.
What can people do? Can anybody get to that height, being in the UK, to know that if they excel in one area or the other, that they could actually attain the highest honor in the land? Because many people that I know in the UK say they are just racist, that's all. They are racist, they are, these white people are wicked, they are racist. But you have proved to us that if you are good in what you are doing, that you are going to be recognized.
Yes.
What do you think about this one?
Yes, what I will employ is that there's a saying that every little thing you do helps. You don't know who is watching. Little did I know that somebody was watching or people were watching. It's the love. If you have love for people and you do things genuinely out of your heart, God will bless you. God will bless the works of your hands. God will cause men from nowhere to recognize you. So for me, it was an honor because I just thought I was just helping my community. I did not know that people were watching. I never ever, in my wildest imaginations, I never ever knew that people were watching. And out of most people there were people that were in Liverpool before me, that had lived in Liverpool before me. But for me to be singled out and as a woman, the only female, picked out to be invited, it was a real honor because of the love that I have for people, not because of the recognition that I want no. I want there to be a systematic change in where we live, in my community. I don't want to see, I want to prevent the removal of children from their parents, because when you disconnect children from their parents, from their biological environment, it harms them. And that's why we have a lot of knife crime and things, drug addiction among our children, just because of just a little means of patience that parents need to have. And that's why I want to I'm bringing in that difference. So I'll say to people that have love for people, just as the Bible says. Jesus said it. He said, love your neighbor as thyself. Once you are able to love your neighbor as yourself, the sky is the limit. The blessings of God will open for you. Because like I said, this is a blessing. This is a blessing for me personally, and a blessing for my children and my generation and my family. So when you show love your neighbor as yourself, you show love to people, you show love to the vulnerable people, your reward, God will always cause people to open doors for you. And that is my motto: love and love and love.
Beautiful. Beautiful, Vanessa. You have done very well for yourself, for your family, for your, extended family, for your dad, for your mom, for your children, because there is a standard now for those children. They now know there is no limit for them. And sky is the limit, even in the UK. Because if their mom could attend that, then they could also go as much and even do better. So I'm proud of you. Thank you for being a member of DSA family.
Thank you, sir.
We are very, very glad to know you and to be that you are part of our family here. Very, very proud of you. Good job. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. And the one last thing before I go, I would also like to say that, sir, I'm so privileged to have come across you personally, because your teachings have reorientated my mind and have reorientated the way I see life. And I can tell you that, you know, your messages have really brought a real change in my life. That is a discussion for another day. But I can tell you that I am privileged to know you, sir. I am very, very privileged. And I thank God for your life. And as for a time like this, I really thank God for using you as a vessel to bring, you know, a harmony and understanding of knowing God and knowing who God is and what God is and what Christianity should be. That is the epitome of, the highest of what I can say. I just want to thank God for bringing you into, as part of my family, into my life and the life of my family. I just want to thank God for your life, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. In the next 20 minutes, we are coming back again to continue what you said I should do. You said I should keep on teaching on love. So yes, I'm going to keep on doing that. I'm obedient. I'm obedient.
All right, sir.
So in 20 minutes, I'm going to be back teaching on love. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And I'll see you in 20 minutes.
All right, sir.
God bless.
Bless.